Hello everyone, welcome to the Canadian Edge. It's a knife review time, and today we've switched over to fixed blade. We're going to look at a knife from Buck, and this is the Buck 119. It has a blade length of 6 inches. Get that where you can actually see it. There, sorry, big knife. It has a blade length of 6 inches, and overall it's 10.5 inches long. It has 420 HC steel, which is a common steel that Buck likes to use, and it's on a lot of their knives. It's got full tang, and so that means that the blade continues into the handle, the metal, and makes it a little more supportive when you've got the handle on. The weight of it is 7.5 ounces, and the handle is a phenolic with anodized or with aluminum butt and guard. So that's a plastic that they use for these knives. And the sheath on this is a leather sheath, and Buck makes pretty decent leather sheaths. You can see this is nice and thick, and basic construction. You got your belt loop, got your lock there. This knife is my son-in-law's, and he actually found it, and it was all wet when he found it, so you can see the sheath has kind of curved a bit, so it's not as easy as normal to get the knife in and out, but that's what the knife looks like in the sheath, and it fits in there quite well. You can see if you're out hunting that the knife sits quite well in the sheath. And that's basically the design of this knife, made for hunting and camping. It be good. You can skin with it, or you can use it in your campsite for, it's good for slicing and chopping, so you could make kindling with it, or cut things up, cut meat up and that for cooking. And just an all-around nice knife. I really like the aesthetics of this knife. I've liked this knife for a long time. Buck's made this for a lot of years, and it's one of my favorite Buck fixed blade knives. They just are a good looking knife. I love the design of the blade. You got a bit of a swedge here on the blade, and then you got a bit of a fuller or blood groove on there. Well, fuller they call it. And so it just gives a really nice look to the blade. The design, I like the black on the handle. Some of them have kind of a red filler on there, and it looks pretty sharp, a darkish red. This one's just the black, but they are a good looking knife, and the ergonomics on them are nice, especially with this guard. It allows you to really get your thumb in there and push on it, so if you had to stab it into, say you're skinning an animal or something, you've got good purchase. You've got your fingers protected down here, so you won't slide towards the blade. And yeah, it's just a nice knife. They fit really good into the hand. You can see the handle is not super thick, but it does have a bit of thickness and swells in it. They've made it fit the hand quite well. They got finger positionings here for each of the fingers, And so I have maybe a medium-sized hand, so you can see it fits pretty well in there. So if you had a bigger hand, you still got room to put it in there. So yeah, they're very nice knives, very ergonomic. The 420C should be fairly easy to sharpen. It won't hold an edge quite as long as some of the higher quality steels, but it will it'll sharpen up and it'll do the job quite nicely. And this one, you can see there's a bit of wear and tear on the blade. Maybe you can't see that, or depending on how the light hits it. There we go. A little bit of wear and tear. It cleaned a little bit of rust off, but I'll probably do a little more maintenance to this knife before I give it back and see how good I can get it looking. And you can see back here it's had a little bit of wear and tear on it. Well, my lighting's not that great, so, but there is a little bit of wear and tear on the butt of it. So so sharpness, I don't know how sharp this is. It could probably do with some sharpening. It's got a bit of an edge on it. Could use a little bit of sharpening. See how it does with this nylon cord. It cuts through there pretty easy. And see if I've got a big enough piece of this cord. Oh, it cuts through that easy enough. So there is a bit of an edge on this, but probably wouldn't hurt to run it through on the sharpener a little bit more and just hone that edge up a bit. One of the things that I don't really like about this knife is how smooth the handle is. For comfort, it's nice, but if your hand gets wet, I'm thinking you're gonna slip on there a fair bit. So that's my only real complaint about this knife, is the slippery handle. I like to have a good grip, especially if I'm using this for hunting purposes or just even in the campsite. You want to make sure you've got a good grip. But under normal circumstances, you should be okay. As long as your hand aren't prone to sweating a lot, you should be good. But yeah, they're just an overall nice knife that Buck makes, and they're relatively inexpensive. I think they're between, what, $60 and $80 to buy. I haven't looked recently, but maybe towards the $80 mark. But you can see they're fairly well built knife. You got a bit of thickness there and durability, so this knife would probably stand up to a lot of use. And it's 7.5 ounces. It isn't a heavy knife, so I don't know if you could baton wood with it. The lack of weight makes it not quite as effective as a heavier knife, but you could still use it for batoning. It's got enough thickness if you wanted to make some kindling in that. So yeah, that's the Buck 119. Overall, good knife for hunting and camping. If you're a person that likes to spend time out in the woods or out hunting, this would be a good knife to take a look at. Buck 119. Well, thank you for joining me on this review. Hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment and like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll be doing another review in a couple days. But until then, you stay safe and stay sharp.